So hello everyone, nice to see you all again. Today I'm actually in Narita Airport waiting for a plane back to Okinawa. So I'm sorry if the surroundings are a little bit distracting. So this month's topic is on Australian geography. So hopefully you find it of use and of interest as well. So just to provide a bit of an overview, Australia is has a very diverse and varied landscape and geography. So we've got, snow-capped mountains in the south of Australia, and then we've got deserts that, spread very widely throughout the centre part of Australia and the western part of Australia. We've got tropical regions in the north and rivers and lakes. That spread across Australia, and often these can be quite salty too, due to the very dry climate. And then we're obviously surrounded by sea, and there are forests as well. So Australia is actually a very big country. In fact, it's the sixth largest country in the world. And as what's obvious, there are no land borders. It's about purely surrounded by ocean. And most of the population actually live on the east and the southeast coast as well. We've also got many unique plants and animals as a result of Australia being an isolated continent. So just to provide a bit of general information and a little bit of history, obviously Australia is an island continent, but it actually originated from the supercontinent Gondwana about 180 million years ago. And I've put a little bit of a picture of Gondwana and how this landmass used to look like. And all these continents kind of separated away from each other and formed separate regions in the world. So as a result of these big land movements and this separation of Australia from Gondwana, Australia has become or is very rich in fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas. Also, another thing to note is that erosion, due to having lots of cattle and farm animals and this kind of thing, has really weathered Australia's surface and can actually cause some problems in terms of water and this kind of thing. So Australia also has no active volcanoes, or we've only got some minor earthquakes, but things like bushfires, heat waves and occasional floods are actually a problem. So in regards to political geography, Australia consists of 6 states and 2 major territories, as you can see on this map, and each of the states and territories has a corresponding capital. So the capital of Australia is Canberra, as you might all know. So as stated before, most of the population actually live on the coast. And this is due to a number of reasons. The climate is kind of more habitable, I suppose, like for instance, living in the desert where you're reaching temperatures of up to 50 degrees Celsius is not such a nice place to be living. The climate is generally kind of more cooler in these regions and more kind of lovely, I suppose. Beautiful beaches, which are really lovely for swimming and recreation, that kind of thing. And obviously fertile soil as well in this area, so really great for farming and growing crops and different plants and that sort of thing too. And also important for industry in terms of exporting, so having various locations or ports where different goods are exported and imported and that sort of thing. And obviously tourism. And as I briefly spoke about before, the northern region of Australia is actually quite tropical, and that's where some cyclones can happen as well. So in regards to the arid or the desert regions, actually 18% of Australia's mainland is desert, and we have a very, very flat landscape with an average elevation of 325 metres. And the highest mountain in Australia, or the highest peak, is called Mount Kosciuszko, which is in the southern part in Victoria. And that's only actually 2,228 metres, as opposed to other mountains in the world which are much higher. So as a result of lots of really harsh climate and weathering, the soil is very abundant in what we call iron oxides, which gives the soil that red colour. So this is quite interesting and unique part of Australia too. And we've got a lot of salt lakes and rivers. So water is actually quite a big issue in Australia, and this is largely because it's the driest inhabited continent in the world. So we get most of our water from the Great Artesian Basin, which is in which kind of covers New South Wales and parts of Queensland and that sort of area. And this provides a source of fresh water. However, groundwater is also extensively used in Australia, and we often have what we call water restrictions, which are frequently put in place by the government to conserve limited water. So it's almost like a grading system, depending on how much water you should use. So minerals are actually frequently mined in Australia and provide most of Australia's export income. So things like iron ore, nickel, copper, gold, aluminium, opal and diamond are frequently mined. And as a result of certain mining booms that have happened in Australia, there's been a large influx of people from other countries coming to Australia, contributing to our multicultural society. So in summary, Australia has a very varied landscape and climate, and it's really dependent on regions. So going from north to south and also comparing that to the centre, it's all very, very different. Most of the population actually resides in the southeastern coastal areas, and a large proportion of Australia's land mass is desert. So having limited water supply is quite a problem in Australia due to it being such a dry continent with limited rainfall. And the breakup of Gondwana, that supercontinent, and the mineral-rich soil of Australia, and the weathering of the soil, where there's lots of kind of chemical and biological reactions going on, contributes to lots of minerals being in the soil and the ability to mine these minerals, and also it being really rich in fossil fuels as well. So the economy, or the Australian economy, is very dependent on these. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to speaking with you all very soon. Okay, bye.